So if you've got the first page, Maturana and Biology of Cognition, I want to read through the first set of statements in the first box. So although spatially separate for each of us as an observer, the world and our nervous system are one and the same. The only world we can know is the world our nervous system allows us to observe. This is a world of actuality and possibility. Our nervous system informs us how to observe and participate in the world. The world exists in our nervous system. Our nervous system brings forth or generates the world we live in. Observing is not a passive process of apprehending a pre-given world. Through our manner of participating in the world, we shape what comprises the world for us. Now, what I'm interested in is what are you noticing as your responses to those statements?
What the hell is he talking about?
Every sentence has the same core words: nervous system, world, human response.
Right.
And it's the emphasis on the way the sentence is structured around what is the meaning for that, for me.
Okay.
But what I'm hearing is very clearly resonance of the world and then nervous system.
So I'm reading all of these and see that they're all the same, but they're all triggering different responses. And some of them are quite provocative in the way that they're put, and others are just kind of, I can see that each of these will appeal to people in different ways, different people. The ones that I am indifferent to or reject will be ones which someone else embraces and embraces.
Which ones do you find you're not responding?
Well, the first one, very quickly. Although spatially separate for each of us as an observer, the world and our nervous system are one and the same. You know, I mean, that's just kind of just horseshit.
Or is that because it's first?
Yeah, this is all to me. That's the whole point. No, not just because it's first, because of the way it's articulated. There's a second one. The only world we can know is the world our nervous system allows us to observe. That is perfectly on the level with me. But why do they have to add this bit about actuality and possibility? You know, that's just kind of annoying verbiage.
These are my statements, by the way. You can talk about
technical. No, I mean, this is my observation. You know. And then, you know, the world exists in our nervous system. That's a bit too kind of existential. Is that the right word? And you know, through our manner of participating in the world, we shape what comprises the world for us. Oh, you know, again. But it's all the same stuff.
Yes.
It has.
Great.
I mean, job done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, well, for me, they're containing a big part of the essence of what Maturana has developed, which in my view is what I call a genuine paradigm shift. I believe that his ideas are not fully appreciated. Now, why are they in the course? For a number of reasons. First of all, he's such a key person as the foundation for the ontological approach. So I think if we're going to do this work in some depth, it's important to honour that and understand, have a basic familiarity with what he's on about. Secondly, you've already covered a lot of his ideas, just not in the terminology that he's used in these 1.5 levels. So looking at his ideas is in some way going back and reviewing levels 1 and 2, but through in a different manner. So they would be two key things. I think the other thing is if we just step outside of coaching, because I'm sure as you probably appreciate, while this is a coaching course, it's way more than a coaching course. You know, it's a course about life and leadership and organisations and so on. And I think, you know, what he's offering is just relevant to all of that. Now what he's doing is he's using different language. His terminology is different, and he makes no apology for that. Because he says if we want to develop into a different observer, and language is a way that we observe the world, he says if I use the same language as is in everyday use, then we will fall into the trap of staying with the same way of observing the world. So part of what I'm going to introduce is some different terms. When you get to read the papers, you know, these are outlined. If we go to part 2, some expressions that capture the nature of the concept of the observer, which is what is the concept that comes from Maturana. We do not see things as they are, we see them as we are. So we see them from our way of being. We are in the habit of looking at things, but often we do not see them.
So these are actually Maturana's words as well?
No, these are other statements. I haven't said where they're from.
Okay.
These are other
I just
writers.
wanted clarity on that.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, I was unsure.
We're in the habit of looking at things, but often we do not see them. Instead, we see our concept of them and the meanings they have for us. The thing itself is masked by our ideas. And finally, the range of what we do and think is limited by what we fail to notice. Because we fail to notice that we fail to notice, there's little we can do to change until we notice how failing to notice shapes our thoughts and deeds. You're required to memorise that to pass the course.
Say it 3 times.
Yeah.
Whilst drinking a glass of water. You've got to get the body mind.
Now, the distinctive thing that Maturana has done is he has developed a biological, he's come from a biological basis for understanding how do humans understand the world. What's the key process that happens for us biologically by which we understand the world? Most approaches to a human understanding have come through what's called or technically it's called an anthropogenic manner, where we've basically developed some concepts and some constructs based on our own experience and put together something. This is what psychology and philosophy do. Put together different ideas that make sense, that resonate with us, and it's a useful framework for understanding how humans perceive. Maturana said, what's going on biologically? So he's developed what's called a biogenic explanation. What's going on with us biologically that's at the core of how we perceive life and engage in life. And his ideas came out of some experiments that he did. One of them was the duplication of an experiment that was done by a guy called Roger Sperry. And Sperry was the split brain guy, he's sort of a right brain, left brain researcher. And he did an experiment in 1952, I think it was, whereas biologists will do, is they took a young frog and they operated on it, and they cut out one of its eyes and they turned it upside down. And then the frog grew into an adult frog. And what they did was they placed a fly, which is a common source of food, out in front of it, and they covered its good eye, you know, the eye that they hadn't operated on, and the frog's tongue always went behind it. So Maturana duplicated that experiment in 1958, and he said he was asking, this basic statement that came out of that experiment in the traditional approach was, the frog is not making an accurate representation of the world. Maturana said he finally realised, he said there's a different question to ask here. And the basic question that he asked was what is going on in the activity of the frog's nervous system that is having it behave the way it does? And that was a question other people hadn't asked.
Can I ask a question? Why was it the nervous system and not its vision?
Its vision
manipulated.
The vision is part of the nervous system.
So he's calling the nervous system, the biology is the whole system. What is going on in the system of the frog?
In the nervous system of the frog.
But isn't it the eye that's...
The eye is part of the nervous system, or part of
Controlled by
the retinal activity of the eye.
Optical nerve.
So they were looking at the... Okay.